Welcome to Health Matters, a podcast presented by Wellmark, Blue Cross, and Blue Shield, where we invite Wellmark experts to discuss healthcare and health insurance topics that matter most. I'm your host, Kareem Amiri. Hello, everyone. As many of our listeners already know, at Wellmark, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, our mission is to make healthcare better for our members, customers, and communities across Iowa and South Dakota. Part of our commitment is to help employers find an affordable health insurance plan that fits your employees' specific needs. And today, we're going to talk about Wellmark's Medicare solutions. More specifically, what are the resources, strategies, or considerations you as an employer may encounter? As I know, in my time here, I have received questions from employers, on what are things that they can do for their employees that are close to retirement and are exploring converting to Medicare. And fortunately, I have an expert with me today, Tyler Elliott, to discuss what can be a confusing topic for many. So Tyler is a Medicare group consultant at Wellmark. Tyler, thank you for joining us, and a big welcome to the Health Matters podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kareem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here. So before we get started, Tyler, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about the role you have here.
Yeah. So again, my name is Tyler Elliott. I'm the Medicare group consultant here at Wellmark. And my job is really as the title sounds. So I am here to provide consultation to our employers on Medicare solutions for their employees that are approaching retirement age. I've been working in the Medicare space for a couple of years now. My previous role was within the small group segment and individual. And individual segment includes Medicare. So I'm excited to continue working within that space and start working more so with our employers and their employees to find the right Medicare solutions for them.
Awesome. As I noted at the top, this can be a hot topic for employers. But in your experience, what are some reasons an employer would seek consultation on Medicare or look for your services?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it might sound a little bit funny because obviously employees will seek consultation on Medicare as they're approaching age 65, but why would an employer seek consultation?
Yep.
And the answer to that is really because their employees come to them with those questions. Employers play a really significant role in the lives of their employees. That employee most likely has been at that company for a number of years. Most likely, they've had health insurance through that company. And I would venture to guess somewhere along the line that employer was able to help answer questions as it pertained to health insurance questions. So it makes sense that employees go to their employer with questions on Medicare. We actually did a survey on that exact topic of our current and former Wellmark members and found that 95% of them reported being comfortable receiving Medicare information from their employer because it was seen as highly trustworthy. Now, only 26% of them reported having access to Medicare resources through that employer. Now, employers have more and more responsibility that's put on their plate every single day. So quite frankly, they don't have time to go out and become a Medicare expert or to gather those Medicare resources, nor do we expect them to. So that's really where I come in as a resource for employers and their employees.
Yeah, that's why exactly we have those HR professionals that have those quizzical looks and asking us those questions.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you're here to do that. What are other things that you can help them with, or if you want to talk more specifically?
Yeah, so I'll dig in a little deeper there. Our ultimate goal is to take the pressure off of an HR team's plate. By providing employees those tools and resources that are going to help them make an informed, good decision when it comes to Medicare. And ultimately, what we're looking to do is help them navigate through all the nuance and complexity that comes with Medicare.
And you mentioned complexities. I know I get pretty confused. I've helped my mom trying to get on Medicare. So what are some of the complexities that you can help with?
Absolutely. There's a lot of complexities. Yeah. I would say the most confusion and the most questions come from when to actually enroll in Medicare, which seems like a pretty simple question with a pretty straightforward answer, but it's really not. And the reason is because it's not one size fits all. Everyone has their own unique situation, And when to enroll in Medicare will really depend on that situation that upcoming retiree has. So just for example, you might have some employees that continue to work after they turn 65. They have to make a decision. Are they going to enroll in Part A and then delay Part B, or do they take both? If you do have someone that's going to work past 65 and stay on that employer coverage, they need to know how that's going to work with Medicare. Now, if you have someone that retires before 65, and then once they turn 65, they are on COBRA coverage, do they take Medicare at that time, or do they wait until that COBRA coverage ends? Those are just a couple of the different things to be thinking through as it pertains to when to enroll in Medicare, and shows that complexity because, it's not one size fits all. And if they don't make the right decision at the right time, they could face financial penalties. And the big kicker with those penalties is that it's not a one-time penalty. It comes in the form of paying higher premium for the lifetime that they are enrolled in Medicare.
It sounds like it's really important to understand when to enroll, obviously. Knowing that this can be different depending on your situation, like you mentioned, what can employers do to help their employees avoid paying those unnecessary costs?
Yeah, so I have a straightforward answer here that I think the listeners are going to like. Call Wellmark. Wellmark has a team of Medicare experts. They have 75 years of combined experience, and that team is there to help those employees that have questions around Medicare. Help them understand their own unique situation so that they know those items like when the appropriate time for them would be to enroll. And I actually have that toll-free number, so I'll list that, and we'll pass that on as well after the podcast. But that number is 877-227-5161. And again, that gets you connected directly with our Medicare team.
You read my mind. I was going to ask if you had that number with you. So tell us a little bit more about how the process works. Someone calls into the Wellmark team. What can they expect?
Yeah, so they will get connected with a member of our Medicare team, and that person's going to really conduct a needs analysis. So they will ask them questions to drill in on what that person's unique situation is. And what that'll look like is they're going to go over a couple of things. So they will review their prescription drug usage. What drugs are they taking? What options do we have out there that would fit that and cover those drugs that they are taking? They're going to review providers and where they seek care. Does that provider accept Medicare assignment? Is that provider or that facility within a network if they're looking at Medicare Advantage plans? They're going to go over the types of medical services that they frequently use, and they're also going to review their lifestyle. So, for example, do they travel often? If they do, they're going to look at those options that are available that will ensure they have coverage when they are traveling.
So when you say the best plan fit, what are the different plan options that you can discuss?
Yeah, so depending on if that employee is planning to retire or remain employed, we'll talk through their current employer health benefits and how that compares to Medicare, or enrolling in another Medicare coverage like a Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage. I was actually talking to a member of our Medicare team just this past week, and they shared a story with me that's relevant to what we're talking about here. They actually received a call from a couple that owns their own business here in Iowa, and they currently have a small group health plan through Wellmark, but they're approaching age 65. So they wanted to talk through what those options looked like in terms of going over to a Medicare solution. And that member of our Medicare team did exactly that process that we just went through those different questions, narrowed in on what their situation was, and at the end of the day, found that if they moved from their small group plan to a Medicare solution, they were going to save at minimum $500 a month on their premium.
Wow.
For most Americans, healthcare costs will take up a really big chunk of their retirement budget. There's actually a study done in 2022 by Milliman, and it showed that the average 65-year-old will spend north of six figures in retirement on healthcare costs. Yeah. So those two things tell us a couple of things, right? It's important to find the best plan fit for them going into retirement because healthcare cost is high. Yeah. Number two, it's really valuable to have a Medicare expert to be able to talk through those things with, to ensure you are choosing the best plan, you know what your options are, you're enrolling at the right time, because again, it can lead to those penalties. So having the value of that Medicare team, like we have here at Wellmark, is really important.
Definitely. So when we think about what you can purchase when you're on Medicare, does Wellmark offer both MedSup or medical supplement or Medicare supplement and a Medicare Advantage plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been offering Medicare supplements for a long time, probably mid-1960s, and we launched our Medicare Advantage plans in 2021. So really gives employees a full portfolio of products to choose from when it comes to Medicare supplement and Medicare Advantage plans.
So from an employer perspective, can they offer that on a group basis? Is there a group MedSup or a group Med Advantage?
Yes. So for a group MedSup kind of lookalike, we do have an offering there, and that's called an EGRP.
Yep.
So EGRP has a couple of benefits for a group. One would be it's good for groups that have employees that live all over, because employees that live out of state can be on an EGRP plan. EGRPs look and feel like a Medicare supplement, but they're not the exact same thing. And where I'm getting at there is there's no macro impact for Medicare, for EGRPs. So they can offer a Plan F lookalike. Plan Fs went away within the Medicare supplement space, but they are still available, and they have very rich benefits within EGRPs.
Yeah, I know that's been advantageous for employers. I think one downside is, it's one rate.
Yes.
Right? So it's a group rate, and people on the younger side of Medicare, they might be able to get a cheaper version on the open market individual.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So EGRPs, I think they're good for a group to have. I think it's good to include them as kind of a package. Yep. So you have that EGRP offering. Those that it makes sense for them to take it can take it, but then you can also direct them towards those individual solutions, because like you said, an EGRP rate is one flat rate. It's not age rated. Yep. So for some of those younger individuals, maybe age 65, that premium on an EGRP might be higher than what they would get in a MedSup, an individual space.
And that employee doesn't have to have that conversation, or that retiree doesn't have to have the conversation with the employer. They can call into Wellmark and do that analysis.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Call that Medicare team, and they'll be able to help them navigate through that.
How about on the group Med Advantage?
Yes. So that is not something that Wellmark currently offers, and most likely won't anytime soon. The reason being is that these plans have high administrative burden for groups, which is kind of what we're trying to get away from. They are more costly, and they aren't as robust as some of the individual Medicare Advantage plans that Wellmark offers. So those individual MA plan options for employees offer lower cost, better benefits, and again, it takes that burden, that administrative burden, off of the group.
Yep. And once again, they can call into Wellmark and get that analysis as well, include the Med Advantage in that.
Yep.
So, we talked about some of these resources. What are some of the other resources that are offered to employers and employees that you can talk about?
Yeah. So in addition to that toll-free number where they can get connected to our Medicare team of experts, we also offer in-person seminars. The in-person seminars are really good for getting all of your Medicare eligible employees in one setting to go through those options and help educate them. Now, we understand that people, or some, might not want to learn in a group environment, and that's okay. We can do one-on-one consultations as well. Can come onto the work site, do those consultations, or we can attend open enrollment meetings and help answer Medicare questions there. Now, for those that are a little bit more old school, like myself, and like to have something in hand that they can read off of.
You're too young to be old school.
I know. I'm an old soul. We have those educational pieces as well. We have a Medicare Get Ready guide that really does exactly how it sounds, helps people get prepared for that jump, and we have other great resources out there as well.
Nice. So what action can employers take to access those resources? How do they get started?
Yeah. So to get started, email me at medicarebusinessteam@wellmark.com. That email address will also be in the description below the video. And once you email me, I'm happy to share those resources via email and really start that conversation. We can schedule time to start talking through what Medicare solutions would be best based on that employer's needs.
Nice. So just email you, and I'm going to say it again, medicarebusinessteam@wellmark.com. Pretty easy. I think everybody should be able to spell Medicare, business, and team.
Yep. And again, it's in the description.
Yep. So, yeah, exactly.
That's all that's needed to get started. And just to reiterate and kind of put a bow on our conversation here, Kareem, we're trying to leave employees feeling cared for as they make that next step in their lives and going into Medicare. This is the last experience that employee is going to have with their employer. So if we can leave them feeling taken care of, that will reflect positively on the employer, because we all know people talk and word of mouth is important. So let Wellmark help you navigate those many parts of Medicare, all of those complexities for your retiring workforce. That's really what we're here for.
Very nice. Well, I think our time is up. Tyler, thank you so much for joining me today. And sharing your wisdom with everyone. And with that, I want to thank everyone for listening. And if you do have further questions, please reach out to Tyler via the email that he provided. Or if you want to reach out to your Wellmark representative or account team, that would be great too. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
So if you want to continue the conversation about today's topic, please reach out to your Wellmark representative. And thank you for tuning in to Health Matters, a podcast presented by Wellmark, Blue Cross, and Blue Shield. Take care.
This podcast is brought to you by Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Iowa and South Dakota. Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield is an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association. To learn more about Wellmark, visit www.wellmark.com.